Hi there, and welcome back to a religious crash course, where we make 5 to 10 minute videos giving a small glance into a religious ritual seen today. In these episodes, we will discuss a religious ritual, informing about its origins and its mythic narrative, the traditional way the ritual is done, and how you may see it done in today's culture. This is your host and creator of the series, Brandon White, and this episode's topic is a Brit Milah, also known as a Bris. First, some broad ideas to do with the Bris. The associated religion that does a Brit Milah as a religious ritual is Judaism, which makes up 1.9% of the United States. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a bris as the Jewish rite of circumcision. Next, I'd like to discuss the mythic narrative that the bris comes from. The religious text of the Jewish people is the Torah. It is also known as the Old Testament by Christian faith followers. In the first book of the Torah, Genesis, in chapter 17, it says a description of the reason for the Jewish circumcision. Then God said to Abraham, "As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. Whether born in your household or bought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant." This is the Jewish God Yahweh speaking to the prophet Abraham. Next, I'd like to talk about a brief history and some topics related to the history of Jewish circumcision. As said in the last passage on the last slide, the prophet Abraham was commanded by Yahweh of the new covenant of circumcision. The word karat Brit means to cut a covenant. In biblical times, covenants were often sealed by severing an animal. In Hebrew, the verb meaning to seal a covenant translates literally to cut. It is presumed by Jewish scholars that the removal of the foreskin presents the sealing of the covenant, much like to sever an animal. Even though Christianity is sometimes seen as a continuation of Judaism by its followers, in the mainstream thought, circumcision is not required because it is seen as the old covenant before the Messiah made a new covenant with his crucifixion and his sacrifice for his followers' sins. Therefore, Christians are not required by their biblical law to be circumcised. Next, I'll take you through some of the key points of the ceremony of a Brit Milah. It is done on the 8th day of a Jewish child's life. The person who actually severs the foreskin for the circumcision is called a mohel. It is a Jewish practitioner who is trained to practice the tradition of circumcision. Customarily, it is done in a synagogue, but it is not necessary, and many choose to do it in their homes. No anesthetic is used traditionally because in most Jewish belief it is the pain that makes the covenant. Traditionally, blessings are recited and a drop or two of wine is placed in the child's mouth to soothe the child after the cut. After being circumcised, the child is given his Hebrew name. And after the ceremony, there is a celebratory meal traditionally. Lastly, I'd like to discuss a major controversy surrounding the idea of the Brit Milah, the Bris, and circumcision in general. This controversy is over the idea of the right to choose. It is often debated whether the parent should have the right to choose to permanently alter their baby's body by cutting away a part of their genitals. Some studies have shown that circumcision can have the effect of lower sensitivity to the male reproductive organ, and this is one of the main causes of debate when speaking on whether a parent can decide this for their child. Some critics cite Leviticus 19:28 Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourself. I am the Lord. And state that the act of circumcision breaks this law laid by God, making circumcision a sinful act. Even though this is highly debated, it is completely legal in every United States state to choose to circumcise your child. As always, thank you for watching a religious crash course. And remember that this is a small window into the religious ritual of Brit, Milah, or the Bris. And it is not an all-encompassing educational video. As always, you can use the comment section as a forum for discussion, and please let me know if there's anything else you would like to add about the Brit, Milah, or Bris. If I made any incorrect statements regarding the Brit, Milah, or the Bris, let me know, and I will be sure to make a correction video linked in the comments below. Thank you.